Okay, what's the question? Do I have any professional training? That was asked. No, not really. I took piano lessons when I was a kid, but I quit real early because I just didn't like my teacher. I mean, I was like 5. That's what we're talking about. And then started teaching myself when I was about 12, and just started writing songs, and then fell in love with guitar a little while later, and taught myself that by listening to like old blues records. But then I sort of had the shit kicked out of me by an amazing guitar player, Sturgis Nikitas, old friend, great, probably the best guitar player I've ever hung out with personally, and he was a huge influence on me. You know, no formal training. It's all stuff that I picked up along the way. Do I have any other creative outlet that I want to explore? Well, most of you know that I'm also a photographer, so I do that a lot for fun or for jobs. As far as other things, nothing really career-wise. There's a lot of things I enjoy doing. Like I love doing construction and designing buildings, things like that. I just recently redid my house.
You designed this room.
Yeah, I designed this room, these walls, and built them myself too. I've been working on film music lately, and I've produced a few things over the years, and I love acting. Acting is a lot of fun. I wish I could do more of it, but time is a thing. How long have I been a photographer, and what do I like to shoot? It's a great question. I actually started shooting when I was about 12, around about the same time that I started making music. My first camera was actually given to me by my godfather, Robert Stigwood, but I'd been given it like years before. So it was a Nikon FG. That was my first camera. Apparently I was really into photography when I was a little kid, but just playing around. There's a lot of photos of me with a camera. Mostly black and white. I like just shooting people, moments, portraits. I love taking portraits of people. It's definitely mainly people, like people on the street, occasionally landscape stuff. I used to shoot a bunch of fashion, but I don't anymore. I'm not really, it has to be the right job for me to be inspired. Yeah, it's really mainly people. Do I consider myself British, American, or both? That's another great question. Good questions, everyone. I like it. I consider myself American. I've been here for most of my life. I was here a large part of my childhood, and then came back to the U.S. Came back to the U.S. when I was 15, back to New York, which is where I was as a kid. I have a certain amount of sort of British pride, I guess, in a way, but it's not my home. I've got some family there. I've got some old friends, but I'm definitely American in my head. What's my favorite song that's been written by my dad? Of course, that's a great question. It did come up before on the Gibb Collective interview, so you can see that by going to YouTube to the Gibb Collective, and in one of the many interviews that was asked. It's tough, man. They've written so many amazing songs. I said in that interview that I think How Deep Is Your Love is probably my favorite song that they wrote. I love Nights on Broadway. There's so many songs that I really love, and it's kind of a mood thing. And some are more sentimental than others, childhood stuff, that kind of thing, but that's kind of the best I can do with that. It changes daily, but I would say How Deep Is Your Love is my favorite song that my dad wrote or was a part of writing.
Yeah, that's better. Okay, I want to ask you again. How did you get so sexy?
Okay, so the question is, how did I get so sexy? Is that the question? How did I get so sexy? That's the actual literal question. Okay. Beats the shit out of me, man. It's just me. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. I have no idea how I got so sexy. I'm just kidding. I really don't think I'm sexy, but again, I appreciate it. Thank you. Next. How did I get to be so sexy? Well, let me tell you. What comes first when I write? Words or music? Thanks for that one. Yeah, it actually varies. I usually write if I'm in a particular mood emotionally, and I sit at the piano. I'll start playing something will just come to me, and words very often follow that kind of match the mood. I'd say most of the time, that's it. I'll be humming something, and then I'll be like, oh, here's a great word that'll fit this, and it, you know, especially with Let's Start Over, because the record is such an emotional record. A lot of the lyrics came at the same time as I was writing the actual song, because there were specific emotions that went into the chord structure, and I was feeling a certain way. It's not like that when you're writing songs, say, for other people or co-writing, where you think more, you know, a little more mathematically. Once in a while, I'll come up with a great lyric that inspires music. That was something my dad used to do a lot. He'd come up with a song title. That was sort of his thing. And then he'd start hearing a melody around that. So I do that sometimes. I kind of got that from him, because it's just something he would always say, oh, try this.
And the second question is, do you see vinyl records making a huge comeback?
Are they asked by the same person?
It's the same
Okay.
person.
Why did I choose vinyl for Let's Start Over? And also, do I feel that vinyl is making a comeback? Well, to the second part of the question, it is making a comeback. The younger people are getting more into vinyl. It's becoming popular again with audiophiles, musicians. And it's really just because it sounds better, especially if it's mastered specifically for vinyl. It's there's an intimacy about having a tactile thing in your hand and putting it on a turntable. I wanted something special for people who just love listening to music, and vinyl is a great way to do that. So the question is, when when are Hugh Jackman and I gonna sing together? When Hugh calls me, that's when I'll do it. That'll be fun though. Yeah. So give me a call, Hugh. So a lot of people have asked me if there are going to be any live shows promoting this record, and I'd love to. You know, that is planned. But honestly, it can really only happen with your continued support and creating demand for it, and through this Indiegogo campaign. That's what we're doing. We're raising money to promote. The more you guys help, the more it will happen. Thank you for all your questions. I'm sorry if I didn't get to some of yours that you really wanted answered. You know, we just, for the sake of time, we had to pick, you know, some of the best ones and some of the ones that were, you know, important to this campaign. If you haven't yet, please go to the Indiegogo page and help make this a success. That would be fantastic. Thanks.